We're gonna switch gears to Leslie, her counterpart. You know how in like the commentary community, there's like two people who you associate with each other. Like for a while, Bunty King and Leon Lush, you put the two together. Tommy C and Dead on Dave, me and Bowblax, for instance. Basically, Scully and Leslie were like the best friends in the commentary community. They did their thing. They had a podcast together. Didn't really do well. It was boring. It didn't take off, unfortunately. It just kind of sat there and did its own thing. Now, when Scully was getting ready to leave the show because she had an IRL job, spoiler alert, that IRL job did not last a month. I think it was even less than a month. I think it was like 3 weeks before they fired her ass. Probably because she was sitting there texting her boyfriend while she was supposed to be on duty. Before she was getting ready to leave the show, she decided that she was going to hire Leslie on the show for me. Now, at any point, I could have said, no, fuck that. It's just me and Bowblax or anything like that. I can do that. But like I said, I'm not very picky with who I stream with. I can pretty much stream or talk with anyone. So if Scully was like, hey, I think Leslie would be a good fit. Here she is. She's ready to go. I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't care. I do my show. I don't care who's on. It doesn't make a difference to me. Let's do it. Leslie was on the show for, I believe, about 5 to 6 weeks before I quickly realized, oh boy, this is not gonna work. Now, Leslie, she likes to tell you that she did a lot for the show when she was on here. She did a lot of work. She did a lot of good things for the show. Most notably, she got me into contact with the I'm Alex, so that me and Bowblax and Nicholas Diorio, we could hear I'm Alex's side and we could be more educated on the Slazo saga. We could hear Alex's side of the word and then we could debunk Alex's points, and Nick would go on to make his video, get 100K. I would go on to get 500 views on live stream or whatever. She likes to point out that she was the reason for all of that. That was all her work. And when I kicked her off the show and subsequently made fun of her because she was being a complete bitch, to be honest, and I'm not even using that as an insult, I'm just preaching facts right now. She was a total nightmare after I kicked her off the show. She would like to say like, Augie isn't grateful. Bowblax, when she broke up with him, she was like, Bowblax wasn't grateful. Nick's just not grateful. None of these guys appreciate the hard work and time I did to getting Alex on your live show. Or sorry, not on the live show. She wasn't that good. No, getting Alex in the call with us. But wouldn't you believe that on these DMs right here, she not only had a very different opinion of Alex at the time, but she was willing to sell him down a river. I want you to remember, what was the last show Leslie was on? I believe it was an Alex stream. I believe it was a stream where I went on to condemn Alex, and she was the first to support him and say, I was wrong. Think about his emotions, Augie. Think about Alex's emotions. He's just dumb, Augie. He's a good guy, though. I fully believe he's genuine. Well, let's read these DMs right here. He's a piece of shit, and he lied to your face, and you believed him. I've been in calls with Alex for hours the past 3 days, and every person who has taken the time to hear him out has been able to tell he's being genuine. Not just based off of how worked up he gets, but because the thing he says makes sense, Augie. Actually, I don't know who she's talking to here. I think she's either talking to Bowblax or Nick, because I certainly don't remember getting all these DMs. Maybe I did. It's hard to tell. We'll go into that in just a minute. She sent me thousands of DMs. It's hard to tell which one was to me or was to Bowblax or was to Nick or not. All day she sits there typing up these paragraphs in DMs, trying to talk to you, trying to hear you out and listen to me. I want to apologize. I'm crazy. Listen to me. You fell for a con that was practically handed to him. And when given the opportunity to listen to the other side, you didn't want to bother. If you're going to talk about misinformation and being irresponsible, that's basically what you're doing by not taking the opportunity I'm basically handing you. It would cost nothing other than time. You aren't obligated to believe him. You aren't obligated to like him, but you're showing bias right now. That's a shame because both myself and especially my boyfriend have a lot of respect for you. All you need to do is listen to him. It's not that hard. Now, she went on show. I can't remember what numbered episode it was, but it was an I'm Alex show. And for the first 30 minutes of the show, it was me and her back and forth. And anybody who watches my show knows I'm not against a back and a forth. I love a back and a forth. However, the back and forth between me and Leslie on that show was an embarrassment. I would make a point and she would agree with it, but she'd word it in a different way. She'd be like, okay, you know what? You're right. Alex is a piece of shit, but he's just dumb. Or I'd be like, but Leslie, it doesn't matter. And she'd be like, well, you're right, but just listen to Alex. You need to talk to Alex or whatever dumb shit she was saying back and forth. It wasn't good. It was an embarrassment. And 30 minutes into the 2-hour live show, now keep in mind, the show I do is scheduled to be 2 hours long. Usually, sometimes we go a little under, sometimes we go a little over. Generally, we try to hit the 2-hour mark. In the first 30 minutes of the live stream, she bailed. Augie, I can't take it anymore. I'm too emotionally frustrated right now. I have to take some time off. And this wasn't a one-time occurrence. She had done this 2 times in the past week alone. So I can't be having this. If I've got a co-host, they got to be there then and there. If you're my co-host and you message me, Augie, I'm going camping this Friday. I can't make it on the show. Fair enough. Augie, I got to work on a video tonight. Normally I can make the show, but tonight I really need to work on this video. Fair enough. But when it's repeated and it's not told to me prior to the show going live that you might not be able to handle the internet for a day. Oh, sorry, I didn't take my meds today. Sorry, I can't show up I can't handle it today. I got to go. I got to bail halfway through the show. I can't be having that. That is irresponsible. That is unacceptable. So on that basis, basis alone, I could have fired her. But you know what I did when I went to go fire her after I realized this is simply not gonna work? I made the utter mistake of trying to do it peacefully. If I had just gone through and called her all kinds of horrible names, that would have been the smartest move I made this entire year. But instead, what I tried to do, I tried to tie it back to looking out for her mental health. Now, there is some truth in that because at the time, I wasn't ready to go to war with her. I wasn't even mad at her. I just recognized the fact she's not going to be able to do the show. She can't handle the internet. It's too taxing on whatever mental health she has or whatever issues she's got going on. Her doing the live show is not healthy for her mental health. And I stand by that. At the time, I was actually genuinely going by that. But that wasn't just me making that up for the sake of ending it peacefully. I was actually genuinely acknowledging that, and I wanted to do something that, you know, would help her out because I felt it would be irresponsible not just to have a co-host who wasn't able to make it on time for the shows, but it was also irresponsible on my part to have a co-host who quite clearly can't handle it mentally. It's too mentally taxing. She can't handle it. That's all there is to it. So I basically told her in DMs, and I'd be reading through all of them tonight. I would be perfectly willing to show you every DM I ever had with her, but she decided to delete her account. Now again, I ask you, just like how Scully deleted her video, her stance on doxing, her brave, bold take on doxing, why would she delete her account so I can't read her DMs anymore? Once again, does she not stand by her word? What is she hiding? But either way, I'll tell you, and you can have Bowblax's word, you can have Nick's word. If you don't believe me, go ask them. So basically, I go into her DMs and I'm basically like, look, the show's not working out. It's too taxing on your mental health. You're not showing up on time. I'm not mad at you, and we can still be friends afterwards. I said friends kind of loosely because also at the time, I never considered Leslie a friend either. But, you know, I did say that, you know, to be nice at the time. I was like, look, we can still be friends afterwards. We can still talk. We can still hang out in Discord calls, or whatever the case may be, whatever we decide. We can still do that. I'm talking purely about the show. It's not good for you. This is not a good environment for you to be in. And you know what really told me that? Can't believe I almost forgot to talk about this. You know how she was so quick to defend I'm Alex? You know how she was so up Alex's ass? She was willing to sell Alex, the false rape accuser, down the river because she believed him? As soon as I hopped in a call with her and I nab her, of all people, the mood was totally different. As soon as I hopped in a call, I was so ready to have an argument with her and be like, you know, you can't be trusting Alex. Alex is a piece of shit. He's a liar. He's a false rape accuser. Not the guy to trust. He's a sociopath. Why are you trusting a sociopath? Well, when I hopped in the call, before I could even get a word in, the tone was completely different. Instead of selling Alex down the river, she was selling iNabber down the river. Instead of Alex, she was firmly anti-Alex. And now all of a sudden pro-iNabber. Because at the time, Nabber and Alex were fighting. And as soon as she hopped in a call with iNabber, the tides changed. Suddenly, instead of pro-Alex, you need to listen to Alex, suddenly it was, no, friendship with Alex canceled. Now iNabber is my best friend. And I was flabbergasted. I was sitting there I was literally getting brain damage from this call. I was like, you know, I wasn't saying anything at the time, but I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, what is wrong with you? How can you be so up Alex's ass for the first hour of the show? And then 3 hours later, not even 3 hours later, not less than 2 hours later, you've completely changed your entire mind on such a serious issue. It's like whatever big YouTuber she's in a call with at the time, that's who she's best friends with. She is by all means and all definition a social climber. And I don't say that word lightly. She broke up with someone 4 days before she hooked up with Bowblax. Now, I'm not saying anything. For all I know, it could have been a legit breakup, but this was also an e-dating thing, by the way. As soon as Bowblax entered the frame, she broke up with that dude, started getting with Bowblax. Again, this is like the 4th time the stream starts to activate those almonds, doesn't it? But I firmly believe she'd do the same thing to Bowblax if given the chance to get with iNabber or Alex or literally any bigger YouTuber. Why do you think she was so obsessive to get back with Bowblax of all people? Maybe it was genuine, or maybe it's because Bowblax has been getting 1,000 subs a day for the past week. For the past month, his channel has been skyrocketing. Also, the same month that she has been DMing Bowblax constantly, every day. It's a new DM. Not a new DM, a new paragraph, a new load of DM. Again, let me show you right here. This tweet is from 6 days ago. Is it possible to IP ban someone across all platforms? I blocked this person on 4 accounts, 4 Twitter accounts, Discord, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook, 2 email addresses. They've messaged me on all of these. Obviously, he's talking about Leslie here. They just made a 5th Twitter account and started DMing me as I type this. This has been going on for 2 weeks. I just want to be left alone. She is so desperate to get right back with Bowblax. Makes you wonder why. Do we want to pull up Social Blade? This is purely for my hypothesis that maybe she's a social climber. Ooh, look at that sub growth. He's been gaining 20,000 in the past 30 days. He's not just a relevant figure, he's a powerful figure in the commentary community. Maybe that's why she was so desperate to get back with him. Or maybe it was genuine. Maybe I need to hop off the conspiracy. Either way, I'm throwing that out there. Again, for like the 5th time, gives you something to think about. But anyway, going back to my story about how I fired her, I basically talked to her and I'm like, hey, listen, the show's not good for you mentally. You can't handle it. You can't even show up on time some days, and some days you leave the show, middle of the stream. Now look, I'm not mad at you. I'm not trying to start a war with you. We can still be friends, but when it comes to the podcast, you gotta go. It's not good for you. Quite frankly, she wasn't good for it. But I didn't say that obviously because I was trying to delegate this as peacefully as possible. Again, that is my biggest mistake I have ever made on the internet. Pro tip, by the way, for those of you in the chat, if you ever have to fire someone, do it as swiftly as possible. Don't sugarcoat anything. Don't try to soften the blow. Don't try to delegate it peacefully. It is never gonna work. It's going to extend time. It's gonna waste time. And most importantly, it's a pointless effort. If you ever want to fire someone, swiftly as possible. She flat out told me this on Discord later on after we already fought. She gave me a passing comment on Discord. If you had just been a complete dick to me and fired me that way, this would have been easier. And I'm like, that's the best advice you have ever told me at all. I will take that advice to the grave. Anyway, I send that off to her, and the reaction was not the softest, as you can imagine. It was an hour of her crying. Not in the call, of course, because we were doing this through text. I knew damn well better than to hop in a call with her. We did this through text. So she was sitting there sobbing. She was like, Augie, you can't do this to me. I'm depressed. Then she told me what the issue was. Why she can't show up to the shows on time. Why she can't handle it emotionally. And the reason why is because her mom keeps bothering her when we do the live streams. Every night we do after hours, her mom keeps coming in the room and she can't handle it. Her mom is just so stressful. Her mom doesn't understand her. Her mom is just a complete asshole. Her mom, that's the issue. And she told me, but Augie, listen to this. All right, it's not all over. I talked to my mom about this, and my mom agreed not to bother me when I'm on the stream, so I can be in after hours. Yeah! And of course I was like, no. First off, and I didn't say this because at the time I was still trying to be as peaceful as possible, but first off, I wasn't trying to start a war, but second off, I didn't believe her one bit, and I think she could tell I didn't believe her, so she changed the story. Suddenly, instead of her mom being the main issue, it was Scully that's the issue, because her and Scully aren't friends anymore. When Scully disavowed all of her friends because her Twitch boyfriend told her to disavow everyone and leave the internet, that included Leslie, and Leslie was the most hurt by this. In fact, Leslie even said to me, Scully emotionally tormented me. Those are the exact words she used. She tormented me for a year straight. Not just now when she cut me off, she tormented me for a year straight. And again, I didn't buy that, because why would you be best friends with someone who tormented you for a year by your own words, emotionally tormented you? Maybe that didn't happen. Maybe it's a fabrication of events. Or maybe there's no truth to it at all. But either way, no matter what the scenario was, obviously I didn't believe that one bit. And again, she tried to say it, hey, Augie, don't worry though. I've gotten over it. Even though I'm talking to you about, talking about Scully to you right now at this very moment, don't worry. I'm over it. Scully's a thing of the past now. So now that Scully is out of the way, and now that my mom is out of the way, I can be on after hours. And of course I was like, no. And so the conversation proceeded to go back and forth, getting uglier and uglier from her side. Again, I wasn't trying to be a dick to her, and you can imagine how it went. The conversation died off after an hour. I don't even know why I spent that much time on it. I shouldn't have. It was a waste of time, but it did anyway. Conversation died after an hour, and I had to prepare for my show that night, because this all happened on a weekday. We do the show on the weekday, so it's time to do the show. Me and Bowblax did the show that night, and for the first time in a while, people were being like, you know what, this show's great. No offense to Leslie, but now that she's gone, this show is much better. Leslie, it just wasn't for her. Confirming everything I thought. So the show ended. It was great. We had a good time. And then Leslie called. And normally I wouldn't have hopped in the call because I have no interest in talking to her. She had told Bowblax prior to us doing the stream that I was just as bad in her eyes as Scully was. So essentially, I'm the new emotional torturer now. She had also told Bowblax to leave the show. She told my co-host to leave my show. So instantly the mood shifted from I feel bad for Scully can't be on the show, to now all of a sudden, I hate Scully. I do not like Scully. Scully is a terrible person. Why is she trying to get my co-host fired? Now, obviously, Bowblax, it's gonna take more than how should I describe this? Hold on. I think she had a way to describe this herself. It's gonna take Bowblax more than a hot girl to pine after him for him to leave my show. Bowblax loves doing the show. Bowblax will always be here. So she tried to get Bowblax, my co-host, fired from my show. Obviously, that didn't happen. But Bowblax told me, because Bowblax was still e-dating at the time, which I don't consider to be a real relationship, but whatever. They were e-dating, and Bowblax was like, you should get in a call with Leslie. You should talk about Leslie. And I was like, dude, Leslie is the last person I want to talk to right now. Thought be gone, all right? I'm not talking to Leslie. I don't like Leslie. I tried to do this peacefully with Leslie, and her reaction was so immature that I have no interest in talking to her. Maybe that'll change in the future. I still left the door open that maybe me and Leslie can be friendly in the future, but at that very moment, I hated Leslie. Spoiler alert, that didn't change. But that's getting a little too far ahead. But you know what? Bowblax, like I said, he's my friend. So I agreed. I was like, you know what? Just for you, whatever. If this will make things easier for you, I'll do it. So I hopped in the call with Leslie. And what do you think happened? She cried. She cried. She gave me the whole sob story. She talked about her suicidal thoughts. She talked about how the show was everything to her. She talked about how leaving the show would destroy her. She talked about it all. So she got quiet and she waited for my response after I sat there. And what do you think I said? I said about as much as I said on the Kumite when I went on that. I said nothing at all. I sat there laughing. Obviously not audibly laughing because I didn't want to, again, even though at the time I don't like her, I'm also not trying to escalate the situation, but behind the scenes, I'm laughing. What do you expect me to take? Do you expect me to, I feel bad for you that you're crying now. Let me just put you back on the show, even though you tried to get my co-host fired. Of course not. At that moment in time, I knew Leslie was someone who I may be friendly with in the future if time allows, but working with her, never ever gonna happen again. So obviously, I said nothing, and she waited for my response, and she was like, well, expecting me to respond, and I just said, I think I said something to the effect of, well, what? I mean, I've listened to you, I heard you out, but if you think this crying is gonna get you back on the show, it's not gonna happen. I've made my decision. It's my show at the end of the day. I decide who gets to go on. I've decided you don't get to go on, and that's the end of it. That is the end of the conversation. And so I left the call because there was no reason for me to be there. Again, I wasted enough time talking to her that day. I now wasted more time after the show talking to her in a voice call, listening to her cry for 20 to 30 minutes. I'm done. No more time need be wasted. I'm done. Finished. Over. Goodbye. A few weeks later, she goes on a tirade. Not publicly, but privately. Every guest I have on the show, every co-host I have on the show, she slides into their DMs and she talks shit about me in an effort to get me to lose my She even talks shit about me to Scrubby, the top donator of the show. So let alone multiple friends of mine, people who do the show with me. Let me get this straight, by the way. She tried to take my co-host away. She tried to take my frequent guests away. She tried to take my donator away. Maybe more. I don't know. But for weeks, I let it go by. I thought about making it a public issue like I'm doing exactly right now. I thought about doing this stream months ago, but I decided at the end of the day, she is so irrelevant, not in terms of like social blade numbers or something. She's just plain out irrelevant. Everybody she was talking to was sending their DMs to me to laugh at her with me. Nobody took her seriously, so I didn't even see a reason to do this stream. Now I see a reason to do this stream. I need to highlight how crazy she is for her own good. Actually, screw her own good, for the own good of the internet, because we've witnessed now she sat in a call with Scully trying to get people's phone numbers. She sat in a call with Scully, in a call with Scully after Scully doxed someone's face. She is not just a bystander anymore to this, but she's an active participator in this. Do you know how much personal information she has of my friend Bowblax? She's got it all. And I'm sure, given the fact that they were in a relationship, you can imagine the type of things she has in possession of Bowblax's privacy. I'll leave that up for you to figure out. The problem is, if she's best friends now, because apparently her and Scully, they used to hate each other. She used to say Scully emotionally tortured me for a year. Now they're back to being best friends again. Further proving that I think they're crazy. So now that they're back together, best friends, going on streams together, what do you think's gonna happen to Bowblax if maybe she wakes up cranky one day, or maybe she forgets to take her meds one day, or maybe she has a lapse in judgment one day? What do you think is gonna happen to my friend Bowblax? I need to let everyone know the type of person she is. We are dealing with absolutely crazy people here. That's not me saying that in a derogatory manner to make fun of them. I kind of is, never mind. But that's not the sole purpose of me doing the stream, is to just bash on them. A big purpose of me doing the stream is not just to stand up for my friend, but to highlight what we're dealing with here. Leslie and Scully are people who are not to be taken seriously. They are crazy. They are nuts. I mean, look at the extent that she's willing to go after Bowblax for. 4 Twitter accounts, Discord, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook, 2 email addresses, 5 Twitter accounts. She is nuts. She sent me DM after DM. She apologized to me for how she acted, how she tried to take my donators and my co-hosts away. She was like, I acted irrationally, Augie. And then when I called her out for flip-flopping, she goes back to it again. She sent me and Bowblax DM after DM. The sob story. The final DM she sent me, I think I have it screenshotted. This was about a week or two ago. She said, I'm not going to ignore this shit anymore, Augie. I am not a YouTuber. I am an adult trying to deal with mental health recovery, and you don't want to let me move forward. Yes, I fucked up with the Alex situation. Yes, I fucked up with how I handled you kicking me off your show. Yes, I fucked up going on live stream with Shauna. That's Scully, by the way. Yes, I fucked up in a lot of ways. You don't have to like me. I don't care. You can think I'm crazy. I don't care. I almost killed myself twice. When all else fails, throw the suicide card. What am I to blame for this? If I were any other person, can you imagine how this would affect me? Let's talk about mental health for a minute. If she was able to convince me I was somehow responsible for her depression or her supposed suicide attempts, that would ruin me mentally and emotionally. Now, fortunately, I'm experienced enough on the internet to know that this is all bullshit. But if I wasn't, can you imagine what this would be? This is literally emotionally manipulation. And I don't mean to come off as a victim here because I'm not. I saw through this the second it was sent. But if this was sent to literally anybody else who has slightly less experience than her, this would ruin that person. Think about Turkey Tom. Do you remember when Turkey Tom made that video on Hyojin, and then Hyojin cried suicide, and Turkey Tom felt so bad he had to delete his video? He was fucked up by that. That affected him in a real way. That wouldn't have affected me the same way. Goes to show you Turkey Tom's a much better person than I am. The point stands. If I were anyone else, I would be ruined by this. I almost killed myself twice. I had a breakdown in the dirt outside the mental health hospital and ended up with a psych eval. I'm done. Keep my name out of your mouth. I will never keep your name out of your mouth as long as you are a public figure on Twitter, as long as you're talking shit about me, as long as you're going behind the scenes, talking to people that know me, my friends. I will never keep your name. Do you want me to keep your name out of my mouth? Never interact with me again. Never come close to me or anyone associated with me ever again. And that, I guarantee you, is a surefire way to never hear my name again. But as long as you keep coming back, I will put you on blast, and I will call you out for what you've done to me, what you've done to Bowblax, what you've done to other people, and most recently, how you took part in a doxing scheme 3 months ago because a Twitter account with 100 followers called you out? Is that it? They called you a spurg and we need to dox them. Fire up the doxcapade. We gotta go in, boys. Oh, this is unreal. You couldn't write this. You literally couldn't write this. These are DMs she sent Bowblax. This is after they broke up. I mean, you don't even miss me. Are you okay? You didn't tweet for 15 minutes after you did that. I started worrying at Bowblax. It seems like a good idea when I did. Are you okay? I wanted you to understand how it felt when me, for me, when you did that, but I shouldn't have done it. I'm sorry. Josh, please say something or call me or something. I need you. I need to know you're okay. I'm freaking out. I'm sitting here afraid of it. Sorry, in these DMs, I need to know you're okay. I'm crazy. She would send DMs like this constantly 24/7 every day after her and Bowblax broke up. She would send DMs like this to me after I kicked her off my show. She is nuts. She is psycho. All of this over a YouTube channel and an relationship. They never met in person. They were going to, but that didn't happen. Because Bowblax smartened up and he realized this wasn't going to go anywhere. This was a train wreck of a relationship and it needs to end immediately. Are you starting to understand why I did the stream now? Are you starting to realize why I felt the need to bring this to your attention? Her getting kicked off of RFC After Hours was enough to spurg out like this? Breaking up with a guy she dated on the internet for like, what, 2 months? Like, I'm trying to think. It wasn't that long. They never met. This is insanity. This is retardation to a whole other level. I've been on the internet for enough to know that if someone's going to cry suicide, 99.999 times out of 10, it's never gonna happen, and it's being used as an emotional crutch or a shield. First off, not everyone knows that, but secondly, not everyone, even if you convince yourself, oh, this is just a shield, people still get fucked up over this. Look at Tom. You might think Tom's an asshole. You might think he crosses the line with his comedy or humor or whatever, but as soon as Hyojin cried suicide, Tom took that very seriously. Again, it goes to show you he's a better guy than I am, but at the very least, this is who we're dealing with.